two of your books, 6 books, and I have my summary as a reader, not as an author. And the great thing that really reintroduces to our thinking is that until now, humanity was busy with copying parts of our bodies, hands, legs, car is an extension of the legs, or microscope or telescope of our eyes. And now I come and says, gentlemen, time has come to take the most important, sophisticated, promising, mysterious instrument we have, and that's our mind. And what you suggest is a travel in the potential of the mind, which is fascinating really, because here we are entering a totally unknown, limitless domain. My question is, what would you suggest to a young girl and a young boy? You said it will take at least 50 years until we should make the journey. What would you suggest them to do in order to follow the future and follow the brain?
Well, it's a very important question as we consider how to educate the young. And my advice is an old one, which is to follow your passion, because it's not just science and technology that are going to create the future. We're doubling human knowledge every 14 months. And that's knowledge in every field. You can see how many different fields of music there are, or graphic arts. As I go speak to different groups, every field of endeavor is being transformed by these technologies. I spoke to a library association 15 years ago, and I said, well, 10 years later, 10 years from now, when you get together again, you're not just going to be talking about card catalogs and bookshelves, you're going to be talking about databases and data mining and automated ways of finding knowledge, and they thought that was crazy. I spoke to them again recently, and indeed, if you look at the conference program, that's what they're talking about. I talked to a music conference recently, and it looked like a computer conference because there's all these sophisticated tools. And my father was a musician, and in order to hear his own composition, he had to hire an orchestra. And before he did that, he had to talk to funders to get the funding to hire the orchestra. And then he could hear his composition. If he wanted to change it, he'd have to dismiss the musicians and do it all over again. Now a kid in her dorm room can create a whole orchestra on her synthesizer and a personal computer, hear a whole orchestra, jazz band, in her dorm room, and change it like you change a letter on a word processor. So the tools to do creative work are being democratized and accessible to everyone, and being made much more powerful. But human knowledge is not just science and engineering. It includes literature and art, music, and each of us has a way of contributing. Some people have lots of different interests and find a way to integrate them, and they become a politician or an intellectual. Other people may have a passion, like my father did, for music, or the way I do for inventing. So to find your own way of contributing and what you have a passion for. If you're someone who has a real passion, and these emerge early, for being a dancer or a musician or a doctor, that's what you should pursue. It is important to be technically literate, because all of these different fields are being transformed by technology, but kids today hardly have to be led that way. If you talk to a 10-year-old today, they are an expert in using these new computerized tools, and they're showing their parents how to use them. And they're actually creating their own creative work, new social networks, making very influential organizations of thought by finding other kids and other people to communicate with around the world. And these new language translation technologies will break down the language barrier. And I would encourage kids to create these kinds of social networks. And an innovation that I think should be brought into education is to actually bring entrepreneurship to very young kids. I mean, today it's very routine for college kids to start companies, and they're not little experimental companies. I mean, they're companies like Google that was started on $2,000 laptops as a dorm experiment. Or Facebook. These 2 Harvard undergraduates took these books in American schools, maybe here too, you used to get these actual printed books with little pictures so that you could tell what people look like and who you might want to date. So they had the idea, we're going to put these Facebooks online, and their motivation was to figure out who they wanted to date. This is how they explained it. And it became very popular, and so then they were encouraged, you know, Harvard students don't just want to date other Harvard students, so we should open it up to other colleges. They did that, and then they took down that requirement. That was only 5 years ago, and now there's 270 million Facebook users, and the company's worth about $20 billion. So that's college students. High school students are now starting companies, and junior high school students can do that. With these new social networks, they've got the tools in their hand, they've got the skills, and you know, when you pursue a project that you're passionate about, as a side effect, you learn a lot of things. So to sit down and just, well, now we're going to learn about this war, this queen did this, it doesn't have any meaning. But if you're trying to actually do something that's meaningful in today's world, along the way, you discover you have to actually learn some things. And then you really learn them and have a passion for that learning. And that's a very powerful method for education. And I would encourage to actually bring in the idea of kids doing projects, entrepreneurial projects in every field as a way of both learning and actually affecting the world. But the message is to find what you have a passion for, what you really love doing. I don't feel that I've ever really worked in the sense of doing something I didn't really want to, that I didn't have a passion for. That's the right way to learn and prepare for the future. And it's not just the kids, because we're all going to be around for a long time.
Mr. Kurzwiel, I'm going to open